Good morning, Susanne, Joie.
Good morning, Deborah, LeeAnn.
We've been chatting already for a little while and it's been delightful, but we wanted to save some of our interaction to interact with all of you, whoever is listening to this. And we have such a delightful conversation um, as we continue talking about the Divine One. Do you want to introduce our flow of topic here?
Sure. The Divine One, this is her radiance.
Mm.
So just imagine after, the transformational path, it shows up in the body and how she expresses it. And this is in the key of 37, which is Gene Keys written by Richard Rudd, of course. And it is the gift of equality.
Mm.
It moves from weakness to equality, and her acidic state or her divine essence is tenderness.
Oh, I loved
And it just feels
learning about this one. I don't feel like we've ever dived into this before, and it feels like so timely for where we are right now. We're also going to be weaving in the energy of the pulse for this week, which is GK9, which moves from what's this shadow?
the shadow is inertia.
Yeah, into um in
In, invincible, the acidic state,
invincibility is the citic state, but what's the gift?
determination.
Yeah, because I'm learning to, we need to talk about that word because there's a lot of energy around it. For me, anyway, as I do the feminine masculine thing, which we're going to weave into by going back to weakness and the beautiful gift of equality. Um, can I start riffing a
Jump,
little bit?
jump in.
So, so this is fascinating because I have really been studying for the last 20 years or so the dynamics of feminine, masculine, intuition, intellect, playing with these sides after being so yang and masculine and career oriented and all about being successful and money oriented, and then having children and being a stay at home mom, which still, believe me, I brought a lot of that masculine energy about being the perfect mom and, you know, sleep times and eating just right and all of that. But there was a heart opening, a softening that I didn't understand. And I kind of fought it because I saw it as weakness. And so, what I love about this is this when I got into the whole feminine presence work, it was the blending of the two sides, or not that we only have two sides because we're multidimensional, but all of these different aspects of who we are into the beautiful state of this being that we are, which is inequality, which means we honor. It doesn't mean that one has to be equal to the other, like I do so many tasks and now I get to go meditate for so many hours. But there's when do I need this to do this? I mean, they're both equal ways of being. So honoring that. And I can see how that is where our world is going, where we're becoming more important, relational, taking care of one another, that what we call Christ consciousness, this heart chakra opening space, the feminine leader, the feminine aspect, all of that is coming into play now because we have swung so far over into the science patriarchal power dynamic that we need to get back into that state of equality. And so I love that the divine one is kind of shining her light into this space and that she's leading the way with the tenderness is that complete trust, right? The complete dropping into uh, honoring everything as it is. It's so much more receptive and it's less of that fight energy, which we talked about last time with the strength and the forcing. And now it's that majestic, if you will, tenderness space.
It
So
does go well
thoughts?
with, it does go well with majestic. What I love about this aspect, this state of consciousness, is also about family alchemy, and
Yes.
about, I think it's kind of like coming together. It's bringing, as you said, both aspects of ourselves together, but it also is, I think, and helpful, um, like a mother takes care of family. We in turn take care of ourselves and take care of others. So it's very, I don't know, cohesion. That's what I keep.
Yeah. And what I like to imagine as we do our inner work is the mother and the father and the child within. So we are aware now that we have these different aspects and we need them. Sometimes we just need to be childlike and playful. And I'm going to introduce the mudra now because it's that, like a baby, you see that thumb folded inside the fists, and it's that I completely trust, right? That somebody's going to carry me, feed me, clean me.
Oh, is that for invincibility?
This is for tenderness.
That's for tenderness. I thought it was for.
The other one, I'll show you that one later. This is a space. Yeah. So you fold your thumb in, and just like a baby is sitting there, they kind of like, they come out of the womb, kind of a little, their knees pulled up to their bellies and all of that. But this is one of the things that they do. And it is a way of feeling secure and whole and being cared for, trusting in the mother creator, mother earth, mother energy. I love that. So anyway.
And I love that it's in the ring of divinity.
Oh,
So it's natural.
yeah. Yeah. And if you were to notice, I mean, for me, I have to almost go to a place where I'm feeling out of sync before I can go, oh, sync up. So it's that airplane that has the autopilot that's constantly course correcting. That's us. And I remember hearing once that a flight is like 93% of the time off its destination. So it's constantly course correcting. And then I'm like, why can't I stay in my center? And I'm like, oh, Deborah, you're aware and you're getting back into center, which is, I think, our constant work, right?
Well, and I think too, as we acknowledge and as Richard says, find your weaknesses, and that's where you're going to thrive. So it's being conscious of them. It's not hiding them under the blanket or,
Yeah. Do you want to introduce a little bit of the conversation of where we started our morning today? About like
embracing
owning and embracing. Yeah.
Well, I had this epiphany in the middle of the night about really embracing aspects of my truth. As being raised as a Christian Zionist, I and learning and studying and following Christ's teachings in healing. We're talking about devout, healing the sick, raising the dead, and casting out demons. And there's that truth about each one of us as whole. That's what Jesus was coming to talk and as a way shower. It was trying to show that each one of us has all of these within us to thrive and, just embody all that we came here to be. And so our bodies are able to, miracles are natural. They're part of who we are. It's part of our system.
And this is something that you haven't been, this is what I want to point to, is the aspect of sharing that part of you, that what formed you so beautifully. We talk in the religious communities about formation, right? And that those are those roots that you came from, which is what makes you such an amazing intuitive healer, right? That energy healer is comes from such a beautiful space of Christ and spirit and loving healing. So, it's for you to own it. And how does that feel to speak it out loud?
I feel safe. I think self-acceptance is a huge part of it because it's part of my whole journey, right? It's part of, I was kind of like, I want to close that part off and I want to, I am not going to go back to that over there. I've been there, done that. Okay, let's try something over here, but I think it's like the clearing out the chaff from the wheat, harvesting the gold. And, those teachings are so practical of loving your neighbor as yourself. And how can you love your neighbor as yourself if you're not even loving yourself?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's part of the problem is self-acceptance.
So I just want you to notice that you are now showing us the truth teller in action. You are now showing us the ecstatic leader by being lit up with your who you are. That's embodied and present to us. And we just did the wisdom keeper, which is your ancestral reverence and that wisdom coming forward that you are now sifting through and synthesizing, and now it's in the Susanne language, right? It's not grandparents or anybody else. It's you, clear as a bell. And so I want to thank you because there's your divine one showing up for us. And that's teaching us exactly what we need to do and be, how we want to be, that archetype. So you modeled it. And how do you want to play with that? How beautifully it ties into the pulse this week.
Yeah, the pulse this week is all about invincibility. And that is through determination. And when I think of that, that's taking those small steps. It's not like most of the time we get all wigged out and freaked out when we're like, oh, that goal is so big. It seems insurmountable. And then you want to pull the covers over your head. I
Go
know.
back to bed. Yeah.
I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
So it's doing the very simple things on a daily, moment by moment. And
yeah, Richard says it's like looking down at your feet and just take a step. Yeah.
It's breaking it down. I think, breaking it down into those small little steps and doing them habitually. And that's where you gain your strength. That's where the invincibility comes from, because you have built the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that, how did he say that? The story he told about the king that kept his enemies at bay with a constant stream of friendship. And so it's those little bitty, he didn't send armies out and conquer them and, stand guard at the walls of his kingdom or whatever. He just, those little bitty things. And I have to say, I have this thing about the word determination, that it has to mean,
right.
We break down barriers and we do this big, huge work and we exhaust ourselves. And it is that, I think that's what gives us that strength, or that's what builds determination, right? Those just continuing to show up, I call it, and
Right.
just moving forward.
Well, and I think that it, from what I remember, let me just look it up. It is partnered with the 16th gene key, which is all about versatility and mastery. And in order to do that, it is repetition. It's doing it again and again. And so that's where your strength kind of comes from. What do I want to describe it as? your core. That's what makes you not, I don't, determination to me just means moving like at a pace without all the noise.
Without the judgment that this isn't fast enough, it's not big enough
Right.
steps. It's not.
Right.
I think it's that,
Why aren't
and
we there yet?
it's in service. So this is the thing that for me, there was a great example years ago when there's a video of Michael Jackson when he was doing some of his really cool dancing, and I can't think of the song, but in it, the steps that he was taking on the stage to do his dance were lit up under his feet just before he put his foot on them. I mean, I can't imagine, but that is what I keep hearing is we are also being guided one step at a time. We may not be able to see anything else beyond that, or it might look too big, or we can't see where we're going, but we can see the next step.
Right. That's a
So
perfect analogy. And I think we talked about that last week about the unknowing, and that can wig a lot of people out. But we are going into unknown territories. So
absolutely.
would you like to share the mudras so that people can feel in their determination?
So invincibility is you take your middle fingers and touch them, and you fold in all your knuckles. So the knuckles are touching. So they're not crossed. So everything is directly meeting the other. And then your thumbs are folded on top. And you put it next to your heart. And I feel like, interestingly, it brings up the other too, in terms of the wholeness and the tenderness and the equality. But it's a feeling also of strength, and that I've got this and I'm being held, and that because invincibility doesn't mean I'm doing it all myself. It means I'm continuing to show up and allow the divine to work through me.
Absolutely. And this is in the ring of light.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So, um, as always, we welcome questions, comments, anything that comes up for you as we dive into this divine one. And the question that I want to leave us with is, how is the divine one wanting to show up through you?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Till next
Our
time.
next time, absolutely.